called the charter party. For part hire, the contract is the contract of carriage. But there is an overlap also. First, we need to understand when does a person hires the full vessel and who's known as the charterer. The bottom line is, see, first of all, depending upon the type of charter, it does not mean that there will be no bill of lading. No, the fact that the cargo is being carried, there has to be a receipt, so the bill of lading is there. But under what circumstances? We first understand the charter. Now, suppose you are a ship owner, the carrier. In case there are 2-3 cargo owners, the shippers, that they will come in contact with you directly. You will deal with them directly. Each one of them, you will issue a separate bill of lading. Now, suppose there are 100 small shippers. It can become a headache for you. In that case, you will look for a middleman, a charterer. I am a charterer. I said, okay, for one voyage, I am going to charter your vessel. Getting the cargo to you is my headache. I will earn the freight. I will pay you a lump sum amount for this voyage. So who is then coming in contact with the cargo owner, the shipper? Me, the charterer. That is only in case of a voyage charter. So you would have seen in ports that there is the owner's agent and charterer's agent. That happens in the different type of charter party arrangements. So the bottom line is, this is where the charterer comes. If the shipper himself has chartered the thing, okay, I have got my cargo, but 10 other people cargo also, I will bring them to you. I will charter your vessel. Now the question comes, if I am a charterer, I am now getting the 100 shippers to load the cargo on your ship. You still will have to issue the bill of lading to the shipper. I will tell you, okay, you issue the bill of lading. The question comes, who is gaining in this? Everyone is gaining, because bottom line, it's a business. You are a carrier. I am a charterer. I am paying you a lump sum rate. Okay, I'll pay you $6 million for this entire passage from the load port to the discharge port. You are happy. What will I earn? The shippers who are going to load the cargo, the freight I am going to earn. Freight minus the lump sum which I have given you is my profit. I neither own the ship nor the cargo. I am a middleman. That is a charterer. That is where the concept of chartering comes. That is a case of, is a kind of a middleman between the shippers and the carrier. And this is particularly commonly seen when there are more than one shipper, not just 2-3 shippers, but 20-30 shippers. It eases the work of the ship owner, the carrier also. I don't have to deal with the shippers and standing in the market and boli lagani. No. Now, before I hire the ship, I have to sign a contract with you, the carrier, that I am going to take your ship on hire. That contractual arrangement is called a charter party. Like we had done, who are the first parties? Anyone who has got a contractual arrangement with the business of the ship, with the ship owner, is the first party. So that is a charter party agreement, or it is called a charter party. Why you may say it is called a party, charter party? Well, it comes from the carta parte, a Latin word. Well, we don't have to learn Latin here. Charter party detailed document which, apart from various clauses, has information. Now, what about the clauses? As I said, chartering of a vessel is just hiring of the full vessel, whether for one voyage or 1 year. That is time charter. I am now taking over the full vessel. So because it's a pure contractual term, it is mutually agreed between you, the carrier, and me, what all clauses I can put. I decide to put 10 clauses, you agree, we sign the charter party. After end of this charter, another charterer comes and I want to charter your vessel. I want to put 20 clauses, agreed to you. You pay me more if you want these 20 clauses. We sign that. So the bottom line is chartering of a vessel is purely on private individual contractual terms. There, it is not a blanket, a free for all kind of a thing, but it is over a period of time. There are standardized charter party forms which are there. And why, like there is a GenCon charter party, there is a grain charter party. Why they have become standardized? Because wherever there is a language barrier, it takes care of that. There are fixed terms and conditions. Charter rate, either I will pay you a lump sum rate or I will give you a percentage of the freight. That is on a per ton basis. If I am earning $10 per ton, I'll give you $8 per ton, $2 per ton. तो बिना कुछ किए हुए मेरा फायदा ही फायदा है. If you have hired a broker or I, the charterer, has hired a chartering broker who will pay the brokerage fees, it is all there in the charter party agreement. That is the contract. Then, as I said, just because there is a charter party, that is for a particular voyage or a period, but does not mean that the carrier will not have a contact with the shipper, because the shipper in any case would want a shipped bill of lading. Because the cargo is being loaded on your ship, the bill of lading that I'm confirming as a master that, okay, that this goods in good order and condition has been loaded. Now, the charterer can say, okay, you issue the bill of lading in my name, I'm taking care of it, which is also fine. Charterer says that you issue the bill of lading to the individual shippers, that is also fine. All that is written in the charter party agreement. So meaning, even in case of chartering of a ship, the rules governing the carriage of goods by sea cannot be overlooked, because physically the cargo is actually being loaded. The moment it is loaded, Hague-Visby rule come. Now, sometimes the question is asked, what is clause paramount? Clause paramount is not, and it is a charter party clause. What does it mean? There's some disturbance coming. Let me just. I hope everybody is muted. Yes. So, clause paramount means you, the carrier, and I, the charterer, which are the rules we are going to focus upon for the carriage of goods. If you and I agree that Hague-Visby rules will be used for carriage of the goods, then the Hague-Visby rules become clause paramount. If you and I agree carriage of goods by sea Act of India 1925 will be used foremost, then COXA 1925 of India becomes clause paramount. That means this is the paramount, the supreme rule that we will be following for the carriage of cargo. If it is decided carriage of goods by sea Act of England of 1906, we will be using that. Okay, then that becomes the clause paramount, meaning it is written in the charter party which are the rules we are going to be using for the carriage of the goods. But chartering of the ship is one element, carriage of the goods is another element. So for the carriage of the goods, which are the rules we are going to be using for and foremost, that becomes the clause paramount. That all is mentioned here. So charter party always supplements, it is adds on to the contract of carriage. Are you with me till here? Gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm just waiting for the slide to change. It has started saving on its own. It happens sometimes. Now, that brings us, let us understand the different types of charters. There are four types of charter. Voyage charter for a particular voyage only, time charter for a particular period of time, bareboat charter and demise charter. There is a difference. People say that bareboat or demise charter, they are same thing. No, there is a difference which we'll be talking about. So let's take it one by one. Voyage charter. Under the voyage charter, the ship is hired for a particular passage, particular voyage only. It does not mean single load port or a single discharge port. No, there can be multiple load ports in multiple countries and multiple discharge ports in multiple countries. The meaning from the first port of loading to the last port of discharge, I have chartered the ship. So the point is, all this will be mentioned in the charter party agreement. Payment of the voyage charters can be done in two methods: on a per ton basis as per based on the cargo, or on a lump sum basis. It is never on a daily rate. Daily rate comes on a time charter. Now, voyage charter has little more number of elements and it is a little tricky. There are some important terms used in the contract agreement. Which a contract agreement? The charter party. Lay time or lay days, demurrage, dispatch, all this is associated with a voyage charter only. Why? Because if the ship owner says, I am going to charter my ship from Bombay to Rotterdam, you load the cargo in Bombay, you discharge it in Rotterdam, it is Tata bye bye. I have got my money on a per ton basis or on a lump sum basis. Now, the point is, if you see from the charterer's point of view, what are, I'll come to this late time part of it. What are the four elements which are involved in a voyage charter, both from the charterer's point of view and the carrier's point of view? Loading voyage to the load port. A ship may be XYZ area. I want it in Bombay on 24th of February by 1200 hours Zulu. This agreement is signed in January. The ship may be somewhere in Japan, maybe. Now, the point is, if the charterer has said, I have my cargo ready with my shipper, they are, वो कहते हैं कि ग्राहक सर पे बैठा हुआ है, my shippers are ready, then plus minus little bit of percentage of delays in the ETA, charterer wants that by 1200 hours it should be there. Otherwise, he can hold the ship owner for delaying the ship and he might lose on the freight. Then the time taken for loading operation, charterer and the ship owner. Now we come from the ship owner's point of view. But ठीक है, मैंने तुमको चार्टर पे जहाज दे दिया एक पैसेज के लिए from Bombay to Rotterdam. You have told that this is the cargo and this much time. Suppose it is supposed to take 5 days in loading. You take 25 days. नहीं नहीं, मैंने तो आपको लमसम पेमेंट कर दिया है. अरे, my future employment of my ship after Rotterdam is getting delayed. You jolly well compensate me. Then the passage to the discharge port and the discharge operation. If the discharge operation in Rotterdam is supposed to take 3 days, you are taking 13 days, the ship owner is going to jump. Because the lump sum amount that has been paid or on a per ton basis is not catering to the time delay in a voyage charter. So that is where all these elements, they come into play. That is, lay time refers to the time that a charterer is allowed to complete the loading and unloading process at the port of call, load or discharge. Because यहाँ पे ship owner's interest is there. Because in void charter, everything running cost of the ship is being paid by the ship owner. We will see it in the table, and I've sent it to you also. We'll see it in a table. If the lay time allowed to load a ship is 12 hours, the ship is taking 15 hours for loading, that 3 hours pro rata basis, the port dues is coming from the ship owner's pocket, which will cut down from his profit, which he has earned on a per ton or a lump sum basis. So he is going to say, you are going to pay me demurrage. Demurrage is cost paid for delay in loading or discharging. Demurrage is paid by the charterer to the ship owner if more time is taken for loading or discharging. You would have heard the thing of notice of readiness. That is applicable in case of a void charter. Ship has arrived, we are ready to load. The lay time has started counting. The charterer is running up and down, contacting ports, bribing the people. Damn it, you have the ship because the lay time has started. If the ship was supposed to come on arrival, it has got 2 hours anchorage. That means I have got 2 hours less to load the ship. If I don't, I'll have to pay the demurrage. Are you able to join the dots? Are you with me till here?
Yes, sir.
And demurrage, that is agreed upon. It is written down in the void charter part. Demurrage shall be paid. Demurrage shall be paid at the rate of $10,000 per hour, which is a huge amount. On the other hand, the charterer interest is also protected if the time allotted lay time for loading the ship for 12 hours, the ship has completed loading in 10 hours, that the charterer should get a pat on the back. Why? Because he says, I have helped you reduce your port dues, so give me, share some of the profit. So that is dispatch which the ship owner pays to the charterer if the loading happens quickly. It does not mean that we will delay the loading and ensure that it is within the lay time. No, we have got a responsibility both to the ship owner and the charterer. And normally it is a customary thing. Dispatch is normally at half the rate of demurrage. If demurrage to be paid as a punishment, demurrage means punishment, dispatch means shabashi. Demurrage is paid by the charterer to the ship owner, let's say $10,000 per hour. Dispatch will be at the rate of $5,000. Okay, fine, I'll give you something, but don't expect me to cut down on my profit. I will only share a percentage of the increase which I have made by paying lesser port dues and lesser overhead costs. I will share 50% of that. So that's why normally dispatch is always 50% of the demurrage charges. So in a nutshell, void charter involves charterer hiring a vessel for a purpose of a single voyage, with more than one load port, more than one discharge port, all possible, in which route and ports have been predetermined and written. You do anything different to that, a deviation is caused. It's a breach of charter party. The charterer can take the ship owner to court and have the ship arrested. The responsibility of payments along with recruitment, everything is handled completely by the ship owner, while cargo is the sole responsibility of the charterer, where the charterer agent will be on the ship along with your ship's agent. That is a void charter. Time charter is time bound and there is a lot of flexibility. Sometimes you'll be surprised. Time charter doesn't mean 1 year from 1st January to 31st December. Time charters can be 10 years, 5 years. Sometimes the ships are ordered by the ship owner because there is a confirmation I'm going to charter the ship after delivery for next 5 years. Now, the concept of lay time demurrage dispatch is not associated with a time charter. Why? I am a charterer. I have hired your ship for 1 year, 1st January to 31st December. So how is the payment made to you? On a per day basis. That is where we say the chartering market is fluctuating. The rates have gone up. The charter rate, time charter rate, that can be, let's say, $20,000 per day. Whether the ship is in ballast or lying in anchorage, if it is $20,000 per day, I am paying you that 100%. I always draw the उसमें सबसे ज्यादा अगर loss होता है, if because of any delay, it is from the pocket of the charterer. The ship owner is happy. They always prefer to let their ship on a time charter, very rarely on the voyage charter, because as we will see in the comparison table, a lot of running cost is taken care of by the charterer. But we will come to that. These days, I'm now digressing a little bit to make you understand the concept of the time charter using the film industry. These days, with multiplexes coming and all, even before the film is released in the halls, forget about Netflix and all, it is released at the hall, the producer of the film has made his profit, it is already in the pocket. Let's go olden days, let's say 20, 25 years ago, when multiplexes were not there. A film producer has produced the film is ready, the reels are ready, some 100 copies of the reels are ready. Now he has to release the film in different theaters around the country in India. That is where the distributor used to come. One of you is the Northern India distributor, one of you is East India, one of you is Central India. I, the producer, will sell you the film. I have got my profit. You are, let's say, distributor for Uttar Pradesh. There are some 300 halls all over Uttar Pradesh. You, the distributor of the film, used to charter the cinema halls depending upon the capacity of the cinema. Some cinema halls were 999 seats, some were 500 seats. You used to charter the cinema hall on a daily basis for releasing the film in that particular hall. The cinema hall owner never went in a loss, because whether in a 500 seat it's a full house or only 100 people are there, he is being paid by the distributor. How the distributor used to earn? The money from the sale of the cinema tickets was everything given to the distributor from the cinema hall. That's why those purchases used to be cut, and the number was there. So many tickets are sold. So if the film was a flop, it never went to the full house. Who was the sufferer? Who was the one who used to bear the loss? It was the distributor of the film, never the producer of the film, never the cinema hall owner. That is what a time charter. I have taken your ship for charter for X number of months or years. I am paying you on a daily basis. Whether the ship is running in ballast or not carrying any cargo, you, the ship owner, are getting your daily money. How is the how is the time charter earning the money? Well, if the ship throughout the 1 year period is always fully loaded, he's earning from the freight. It's like the film being running into full houses. One film distributors from rags, they have become crorepati if the film was a hit. That is what is the exact comparison to the time charter. Now, can span anywhere from few days to few years. So now, in case of a time charter, the master has to receive instruction from the charterer which is the next port of loading and which kind of cargo. Because the charterer has hired the ship owner has handed him over for 1 year. Now the loading port is a discharge port. What owner has to go? We have to take instruction from the charterer. Since the chartering period is for 1 year, time charter, Whether the ship is being loaded quickly or taking its own sweet time, ship owner has got nothing to do. He's getting $20,000 per day in any case. So the concept of lay time or lay days, demurrage dispatch is only associated with void charter, never with a time charter. Are you with me?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And all which is the concept associated with time charter, the off hire. I have chartered you, you have told me your ship will always be doing 15 knots. This will be the consumption of fuel, etc., etc. That means I am also going to calculate that from A to B, the ship at the rate of 15 knots should arrive at this much time. If the ship ends up doing for some reason 12 knots, the charterer ETA is going to get spoiled. He's going to catch the owner. You told me your ship is going to do 15 knots. It is doing 12 knots. The ship was to arrive in 5 days. Now it is taken 8 days. I'm not going to pay you for 3 days extra that your ship has taken with no fault of mine. So he is going to treat 3 days as off hire. I'm not giving you the charter rate. When the final settlement is that so many days off hire, plus minus 10%, they keep, okay, maximum 12 hours off hire we can consider because of bad weather, etc. That's again to next week when I'm going to do note of protest. If the ship has encountered heavy weather which has disrupted the ETA, first thing the master does is note of protest, submits it to the owner. So that tomorrow, if the charterer is finally settling the payment at the end of the time charter, the charterer says, well, so many times the ship was delayed because I'm going to deduct that money as off-hire period. The ship owner is going to say, well, my master had filed a note of protest in front of a notary. It was because of the bad weather, so this is not justifiable cause for off-hire. The charterer is going to agree. Okay, fine, agreed upon. Have you understood the concept why the masters are always this thing that we are not meeting the chartering speed? Because to ensure that it is not off hire. Suppose if engines, there is a stoppage for 2 hours, the master, they jump after the chief engineer, come on, 2 hours, no, you have to do it in 45 minutes. Because 45 minutes, 1 hour, I can show some bad weather or current, but I can't show it for 2 hours. Clauses can be inserted in charter party that allows for fixed number of off-hire hours. Beyond this, charterer is charged for delay, or the ship owner is charged for delays if it is off-hire. It works both ways. That because it is a very private contract, the clauses can be inserted mutually agreeable between the charterer and the ship owner. So in a nutshell, time charter involves leasing a vessel for a fixed period on a per day rate where charterer is free to use the vessel, so he gives the instruction. The owner still manages the vessel. Clauses are inserted to protect the charterer from having to pay for hours that were spent due to events that could not have been foreseen. That is the off-hire clauses. Now, this same table which I have shared with all of you, very common thing. What is the difference between time charter and a void charter? You just have to write it in this table form, you'll get the maximum marks. If you write it in paragraph form, okay, you will be conveying, but you'll not get as smart as good a mark as you write it in a table form. And how many elements are there? Only 3 elements that you have to focus on.
Loud and clear, sir.
So, responsibilities of the party. In time charter, ship owner remains in control of the ship technical operation, but the commercial operation, where the ship has to go to load, where she will discharge, all the commercial is handled by the time charter. Void charter, technical management, commercial management, everything is with the owner. Time charter, ship owner covers all cost of salaries and crewing, maintenance of vessel, insurance, fuel consumption, everything. But port charges are paid by the charterer. अब भाई तुम उस महंगे वाले पोर्ट में जाना चाहते हो तो it is up to your headache है. I will not send my ship there if I have to pay too much of port due. You take care of it. Voyage charter ship owner is not only responsible for cost with everything, but also pays for all cost of voyage, bunkers, port, everything is with the ship owner in case of a voyage charter. There is no change. Time charter only change is that he is paying for the port dues. And the commercial part is being handled by the charter. Duration. Time charter is signed for a limited period of 5 without dictating a fixed route by the charter. भाई मैं यहाँ से वहाँ लाना चाहता हूँ या वहाँ से वहाँ. I have taken the ship on charter and I am paying you on a daily rate. During the charter party contract period, charterer can operate vessel commercially within the following routes absolutely freely. Whereas in a voyage charter party is signed to carry specific amount of goods between predetermined routes and carry predefined cargo, everything is arranged and decided upon. The ship owner has 90% of everything say in that. And once the transportation is completed, voyage charter party contract ends. The vessel is handed over to the ship owner. Finally, contract amount, charterer pay a daily hire to the ship. Sometimes charter rate on gas carriers can be $50,000 per day when the market is very, very high. Charterer payment is obliged to pay freight to the ship owner, and the freight, it is written freight here, but it is called basically the voyage charter rate, which is either, why the freight? It is always a percentage of the freight. I will just change this here, obliged to pay percentage of freight to ship owner. Now, this can either be on a lump sum amount or on a per ton basis of cargo loaded. So, we are talking about responsibilities of the party, the time duration, and the contract amount calculation. This is the main thing that you have to focus on, different between the time charter and a voyage charter. Now, bareboat charter is sometimes referred to as demise charter, but they are two different things. Bareboat charter is for number of years. For 5 years, I want to behave like an owner. The charterer. I will take care of everything. You are getting a fixed amount. Bareboat charter higher rates are never $20,000-$30,000 per day, but they are about $10,000 per day, which is the ship owner can become Vijay Mallya. The charterer starts behaving like the owner of the ship, but the registered owner remains the ship owner. So to understand the difference between voyage charter, time charter, bareboat charter, and demise charter, why it is called a demise charter, I will explain it here. Voyage charter, you see, what are the elements of operation? Who's paying for the fuel? Who's paying for employment of master and chief officer and chief engineer? Who's paying for employment of officers and crew? Who's paying for the cruise cost? Who's paying the port dues? Who's managing the ship? Voyage charter, everything remains with the ship owner. He's just getting a percentage of the freight and he is getting rid of the headache that instead of dealing with 100 shippers, I'm just dealing with one charter. Are you with me with regard to the voyage charter?
Yes, sir. So here it is written that the fuel is paid by the charterer in the time charter.
Correct.
But in the differences, it was mentioned that it will be paid by the ship owner.
Then you are very right. In that case, where did I say duration? Okay, ship owner, vessel is type charter, vessel fuel. Oh, ये लिखा है ना? Okay, voyage charter, na? Voyage charter, it is paid by the ship owner.
So here in the time charter, it is saying that it will be paid by the ship owner will cover the cost of fuel consumption.
In time charter, vessel fuel consumption and port charters to be paid by the charterer.
Well, here the ship owner covers all costs associated with the crewing, maintenance of vessel, insurance, fuel, port. So this is becoming a little confusing, you know. There are two.
Okay,
Okay,
one
you have
second,
a
let me
sim.
check. Okay, time charter, we are talking about fuel. And here, what I have written, time charter, fuel is paid by the charter. So that is what I have written here. I was talking about void charter, everything is paid by the ship owner. And in the void charter, here, ship owner also pays for all cost of voyage, bunkers, port charges. Void charter is this.
It's correct. So my mistake because I didn't see that semicolon over here, which is separating the fuel consumption and port charges.
No, no,
I
no,
thought it
that's
is
okay.
one
That's okay. I
continuous
could have,
sentence.
I mean, beta, I also have to check. I could have made a mistake. Yeah. I mean, I'm very open to acknowledge my mistake, pointed out my very respected students. I'm very clear on that because I also learn every day from my students. So we are clear on that, right?
Yes, yes, all okay, sir.
Okay. Now, again, coming to this void charter, everything is there and he's getting relieved of his finding the shipper. Now, in time charter, fuel is paid by the charterer, employment of master, officers, crew, the crew cost all remains with the ship owner. In time charter, only the fuel and the port dues are paid by the charterer. Rest everything, the vessel remains in control of the ship owner. यहाँ पे तो है ही, पर यहाँ पे other than the port charges and the fuel cost, etc., is paid by the charterer. Rest technical management, etc., remains with the time charter. Bareboat charter. I am a bareboat charterer. I have taken your ship for 5 years. I want to behave like an owner. I don't have the money to order a ship, but I have enough money to pay you the thing. For 5 years, I'm going to earn money like on the freight. Everything is paid by the charter except the ship owner says, I don't want to lose the complete control of the vessel. I will employ my master and one senior officer, either the chief officer or the chief engineer. Rest, you take care of everything. So the other officers and crew will be employed by the charterer. He is going to pay them. Rest everything, the crew cost, the port dues, the ship management, insurance, fuel, everything is by the charterer in a bareboat charter, except the ship owner says, I want to have a foot in the pie. I want my master and one senior officer. Normally, he will keep chief officer and master. Now, what is the difference between bareboat charter and demise? The word demise means death, or you are killing something, not someone, but you are killing something. So here, when the ship owner is voluntarily killing his own right to employ the master and one senior officer also, the bareboat charter becomes a demise charter. I have given you the ship for 5 years. Don't even disturb me for 5 years. You just deliver the ship in this condition after 5 years. You employ your master, chief officer, chief engineer, all the crewing, X, Y, Z, Tom, Dick, or Harry. I just want to become Vijay Mallya and open a bottle of champagne. And many ships are specially ordered by a ship owner. I approach you, a ship owner. See, I have got this heavy machinery equipment. One oil rig is being has to be installed in North Sea off the coast of Norway. The oil rig is being manufactured in South Korea, parts of oil rig, because they are manufactured, they are big ship industry and oil rig industry also. And the entire equipment, I mean, the parts of the oil rig will take at least 3 years to move from here to there. Can you bring me a ship? I will build a heavy lift ship for you. But I'll say that I want the ship to be chartered for 5 years. I'll put it on demise charter. You start behaving like an owner, agreed upon. Instead of paying $15,000 per day, but I'll pay you $9,000 per day if you want it for 5 years. Charter party signed. Ship launched, delivered. Mr. Charterer, the ship is yours. You do what you want for next 5 years. That I'm killing my right. I'm demising my right to even employ my master and one senior officer. That is also your headache. then the bareboat charter is called a demise charter. That is the only difference. Which people say that, oh, it is bareboat charter or demise charter, they are the same thing. No, if they are the same thing, then why they have to be two different names? Have you followed the difference?
Yes, sir.
That are the different type of charter. We will stop here because tomorrow I will complete the last part of the commercial law, the different types of clauses, the bunker clause, the ship clause, ice clause, questions are lighterage clause, negligence clause, indemnity clause, or a little thing, and then ready berth clause, redelivery clause, indemnity, and one very important Caesar and lien clause of the chartering that, okay, I am developing and it is the keel is not yet laid. Okay, so let me just bring here get this particular thing. Now, LNG ship, I am a businessman, a ship owner. I want to, instead of a general cargo or a container ship, which are very cheap to construct, an Aframax will cost about $130 million to construct, but an LNG will be almost about $300 million to construct. That is the difference. I want to earn money. I am ready to invest. I have got access to that money, but I'm not going to keep the ship and take it on a world cruise in ballast. I want to see that how many people are there who are ready to charter this. Then he hires the chartering brokers. I am going to launch this ship. It will be ready in 2 years' time. Is there anyone to take it on a bareboat or a demise charter? Negotiation goes on. Chartering brokerage fees is very high. He will put forward 50 people wanting to charter a gas carrier even before the keel is laid. So that contractual term and condition is signed. ये रहे कि 2 साल में वो जहाज बन रहा है, बनने को तैयार हो रहा है, चार्टर से नहीं यार मेरा माइंड बदल गया, मैं नहीं ले रहा हूं, सॉरी, आई विल टेक यू टू कोर्ट एंड claim $500 million as compensation. I am building the ship because you have confirmed the charter and we signed the contract of charter. Contracting to charter the ship when it is ready. That is the first contract. And initial, the ship owner will say, okay, yaar, give me some advance. I will reduce the charter rate when it is delivered to you. So he will give some advance. That is how negotiation goes on. All this is settled. The charter will say, "Arey jaldi banwao aur ye sab karo," and all that pressure goes on. Ship after sea trial, launch, delivered. Bareboat or demise charter. If it is a bareboat charter, well, the delivery of the ship will be taken by my chief engineer and the captain. Rest everything is yours. If it is a demise charter, the ship owner says, okay, on day 7 from now, the ship is getting launched. He has organized his master, chief engineer, chief officer to go and take the delivery. He's going to be chartering the ship 5 years and start behaving like an owner. Everything. In case of a bareboat or a demise charter, even the maintenance cost of painting, dry dock, routine, dry dock, survey, classification fees, insurance, everything is on the headache of the charter. He starts behaving like the owner of the ship.